The Boy Who Never Gave Up. In a quiet town where dreams were often forgotten, lived a boy with eyes full of hope and a heart bigger than the world around him. While others were content with ordinary days, he dreamed of something more, something that no one around him believed was possible. Every day, he stared out the window of his small room, imagining a life where he could stand tall, proud of what he'd become. But all he had in his hands were failures, and all he heard were voices telling him to give up. Stop dreaming, they said. You're not special. But something inside him refused to listen. He wasn't the smartest, the fastest, or the strongest. He didn't come from wealth or privilege. But he had one thing no one could take from him: persistence. This is a story of a boy who kept going when everything told him to stop. A story of quiet strength, small steps, and the courage to believe again and again. A story not just for children, but for anyone who has ever felt like giving up. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Small Dreams, Big Heart. His name was Daniel. He lived in a small house at the edge of a dusty road. His father worked at a factory, and his mother sold vegetables at the local market. Life was simple, sometimes too simple for a boy with a big imagination. Daniel didn't care much about toys or games. What he loved most was drawing. Not just anything, though. He would draw buildings, machines, rockets. He dreamed of becoming an engineer and building things that could change the world. At school, when the teacher asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" the answers were always the same: teacher, farmer, driver. But Daniel stood up and said, "I want to build the biggest bridge in the world." The class laughed. "Bridges are for rich people to build." One boy said. "You'll never even leave this town," another added. Even the teacher smiled kindly and said, "That's a big dream, Daniel. Maybe start with something smaller." But Daniel didn't feel small. Not inside. He went home that day and sat with a pencil and his old notebook. Page after page, he drew bridge designs. Some had towers reaching the clouds. Others stretched across entire oceans, at least in his mind. His parents saw his passion, but didn't know what to do with it. "Dreaming is good," his father said once, "but life is not easy. You'll understand when you grow up." Still, Daniel didn't stop. He spent evenings reading borrowed books. He stayed up late sketching plans by candlelight. No one else could see what he saw, but he didn't mind. In his heart, he believed that dreams weren't just for the rich or lucky. Dreams were for those who dared to chase them. One day, the school announced a regional drawing competition. Daniel lit up. The theme? Build the future. He had only 3 days to prepare. With his tiny pencil, worn-down eraser, and a single sheet of clean paper, he worked day and night. His bridge design was bold, clean, and full of life. He imagined it connecting two lands, with lights along the sides and wind turbines built into the towers. When the day came, Daniel walked to school with his design rolled carefully in his backpack. His hands were sweaty, but his eyes sparkled with excitement. This was his chance. But life doesn't always reward us right away. Later that week, a list of winners was posted. Daniel's name wasn't there. He stared at the paper, reading it twice, then a third time. Still nothing. He walked home slowly, heart heavy. He had tried his best and failed, but that night he picked up his pencil again, because for Daniel, the dream was still alive. Chapter 2. When the World Says No. The next morning, Daniel woke up early, even though he had barely slept. The sun was rising, casting golden light through the window, but it didn't feel like a golden day. His drawing still lay on the desk, untouched since yesterday. He looked at it. It was beautiful, but the judges hadn't seen it that way. "Maybe they were right," he whispered. "Maybe I'm just a boy with a pencil." At school, no one said anything. It was as if the competition never happened. The winners walked around with medals and wide smiles. Daniel kept his head down. His fingers twitched, wanted to draw, but his heart said no. Days passed, then weeks. Daniel stopped drawing. At home, his mother noticed. "No sketches this week?" she asked gently. Daniel shook his head. "Maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm not good enough." His mother sat beside him and held his hand. "You are more than good enough. But the world doesn't always cheer for you the first time. He wanted to believe her. But disappointment has a heavy voice, and it whispered to him every day, "You failed." Then one afternoon, something unexpected happened. A man in a faded blue jacket came to Daniel's school. He introduced himself as Mr. Harris, a retired engineer from the city. He volunteered once a month to speak with students about science and design. That day, he brought bridge models, photos of real constructions, and blueprints. Daniel sat in the back row, silent, but his eyes were wide. After class, while everyone left, Daniel stayed behind. He approached Mr. Harris slowly. "Excuse me, sir," he said. "I like bridges too." Mr. Harris smiled. "Do you draw?" Daniel nodded, shyly pulling out the crumpled design from his backpack. The man unfolded it carefully and stared. "You made this?" Daniel nodded again. "This is impressive," Mr. Harris said. "How old are you?" 13. The man chuckled. "You got something here. Not just talent, vision." Daniel's heart skipped. "Why didn't you win the competition?" Mr. Harris asked. "I guess it wasn't good enough." Mr. Harris frowned. "Or maybe the judges weren't ready for it." He handed the drawing back. "Promise me one thing. Don't stop. The world will say no. Again and again. But that doesn't mean your yes isn't coming." Daniel looked at the man, unsure what to say. Mr. Harris smiled. "Persistence, Daniel. It's more powerful than talent. More powerful than luck. If you keep going, you'll go far." That night, Daniel picked up his pencil again. It felt strange, like meeting an old friend after a long time. He didn't draw a bridge this time. He drew a mountain. A small figure stood at the bottom. Looking up, the top was far away. But the boy had strong legs and a dream in his eyes. Chapter 3. Climbing the Mountain. Daniel started drawing again, quietly, secretly. He didn't tell anyone, not his friends, not even his teacher. Every evening after finishing his homework, he sat at his desk and sketched. Not just bridges this time. He drew cities, parks, airplanes, and even machines that could fly to the moon. His imagination had been waiting, and now it ran wild. At first, the lines were shaky. He had been away too long. But soon, the pencil felt natural in his hand again, like it belonged there. One Saturday morning, his mother entered his room with a cup of tea and saw the pile of papers growing on his desk. "You've been busy," she smiled. Daniel looked up, unsure. Is it silly to try again? She placed the cup gently beside him. Dreams are never silly. Giving up on them, maybe. Her words sank into his heart, like water into dry soil. That afternoon, Daniel went online and searched for more competitions. Not big ones, just small ones where he could learn and grow. He found a local design contest for middle school students. The theme was Reimagine Your City. His fingers tingled. He didn't want to win. He just wanted to try. For the next 3 weeks, Daniel worked after school and on weekends. He visited the library, took pictures of buildings, studied how parks and streets were designed. He even asked his art teacher how to improve his shading and depth. The project grew bigger than just a contest. It became his mission. But it wasn't easy. Some days he felt tired. Other days, the ideas didn't come. Once, he spilled ink across his nearly finished draft. He almost cried, but he didn't quit. He started again. Piece by piece, he rebuilt it better. On the final night before the deadline, Daniel stayed up late, perfecting the shadows on a community garden and drawing tiny figures playing near a fountain. His hands ached, but he smiled. "This," he whispered, "this feels right." He submitted the project the next day, his heart pounding. No one knew, not his classmates, not even Mr. Harris. A week later, his name appeared on the school bulletin board. Daniel Thompson, 2nd place, City Design Challenge. He couldn't believe it. He stared at the paper for a full minute. Not 1st place, but something more important. Recognition. Progress. Mr. Harris found him after school. "I heard," he said with a grin. "2nd place, huh?" Daniel blushed. "Yeah." Mr. Harris nodded. "Climbing the mountain, I see." "It's harder than I thought," Daniel admitted. "Most climbs are," said Mr. Harris. "But each step matters, even the ones that hurt." From that day on, Daniel was different. He still faced problems. He still had doubts. But he had something stronger now. Belief. He no longer waited for the world's approval. He gave it to himself. Chapter 4. The Big Leap. Months passed. Daniel kept drawing, sketching, and learning. His walls were no longer bare. They were covered with blueprints, drawings, and notes. The quiet boy who once gave up now moved with quiet determination. Then one day, an opportunity arrived. Mr. Harris announced in class, "Our school is entering a national innovation fair. Students can submit a design, an invention, a solution to a problem, anything original. The top 5 will go to the state finals." A buzz filled the room. Daniel's heart skipped. National. It was huge. But as he listened, fear crept in. What if I'm not ready, he thought. He stayed quiet, unsure if he should join. But later that night, his mother found him staring at his sketch pad. "Something on your mind?" she asked. "There's a big design fair," Daniel replied. "But it's big. I don't know if I can." His mother sat beside him. "You remember the boy who wouldn't stop climbing?" Daniel nodded. "Then let him climb." That night, Daniel began sketching. He thought of real problems. What could help people? What could make a difference? He remembered walking past his grandmother's house. She lived alone. The stairs were difficult for her. That sparked something. What if I design a simple indoor lift for seniors? Something small, safe, and easy to install. He began researching, reading, watching videos. He was an engineer, but he was a learner. Every night, he made progress. Diagrams, prototypes with cardboard, notes, measurements, improvements. His bedroom became a lab. He built a small working model using wires, motors from old toys, and bits of plastic. It wasn't perfect, but it moved. Submission day arrived. Daniel walked into the classroom with a box in his arms. Inside it, his design is hope and a quiet promise to himself. He placed it on the table. Mr. Harris examined it, eyebrows raised. "An automatic stair lift for small homes? This is clever, Daniel." Daniel shrugged, nervous. "It's just an idea." "It's more than that," Mr. Harris replied. "It's thoughtful, real." A week later, the results were announced. Daniel's name was read first. "You're going to state," said Mr. Harris, beaming. Daniel was speechless. His knees felt weak. "Me?" "Yes, you. Your project was selected among hundreds." Judges loved the practicality. At the state fair, Daniel faced students from across the region. Some wore lab coats. Others had fancy presentations. His booth was simple, just a table, a model, and a nervous boy with a quiet passion. He explained his project to visitors, judges, and students. He didn't use big words. He just spoke from the heart. "This design is for people like my grandmother," he said. "Not everyone can afford expensive solutions. I wanted to create something simple and affordable." People listened. They nodded. One judge even asked, "Would you consider developing this further? It could help thousands." Daniel's eyes widened. "Really?" The judge smiled. "Absolutely." Daniel didn't win the grand prize that day, but he received a special recognition award, Design with Purpose. To him, it meant everything. On the bus ride home, Mr. Harris sat beside him. "You made the leap," he said. Daniel looked out the window. Trees blurred by. It felt scary, but also amazing. "That's what growth feels like," Mr. Harris replied. "You gave your dream a second chance, and it gave something back." That night, Daniel sat on his bed with his sketch pad. He didn't draw for a contest or a grade. He just drew because he loved it, because it was his, because persistence had changed him. Chapter 5. The Turning Point. Daniel's award sparked something deeper than excitement. It sparked belief. He returned home not just with a certificate, but with confidence. His project wasn't perfect, but it mattered. It showed that someone like him, quiet, uncertain, once full of doubt, could create something meaningful. At school, students who barely noticed him before began saying things like, "Hey, I saw your project online. That was awesome. Can you help me with my design idea?" Daniel, who used to sit alone, now found himself invited to group projects. He was still quiet, but no longer invisible. Still, his journey wasn't without setbacks. One afternoon, Daniel saw a social media post criticizing school projects from the state fair. A comment read, "Some of these look like science class crafts, not real inventions." Underneath was a photo of Daniel's project. His heart sank. All that progress, all that courage, and someone laughed at it. He closed his laptop. For a moment, that old voice returned. "You're not good enough. You're just pretending." But something was different now. He remembered the judge who asked about developing the idea further. He remembered his grandmother's smile when he showed her the model. He remembered Mr. Harris's words, "You gave your dream a second chance." So instead of giving up, Daniel did something new. He printed the photo of his project, and below it, he wrote in bold marker, "This was my first try. The next will be better." He pinned it on his wall, right above his desk. The next day, he visited the school library. He borrowed books on basic mechanics, design thinking, and product development. He even emailed the judge who had shown interest. To his surprise, the judge replied, "I remember your project, Daniel. If you're serious about developing it, I can connect you with a local mentor." That message changed everything. 2 weeks later, Daniel met Mr. Coleman, a retired engineer with decades experience and a kind smile. "I've worked on elevators, lifts, and industrial systems," said Mr. Coleman. "But your idea? It has heart. Let's improve it together." Every weekend, Daniel visited his workshop. He learned how to use better materials, how to calculate load capacity, how to design for safety. Slowly, his little model began to look more professional. But more importantly, Daniel changed. He started asking questions, offering ideas, taking initiative. He wasn't just learning mechanics. He was learning resilience. One rainy Saturday, as they tested a new prototype, Mr. Coleman looked at him and said, "You know, you remind me of myself when I was young." Daniel grinned, quiet and full of questions. "Exactly, and just as determined." At school, Daniel's grades improved, not because he suddenly became smarter, but because he stopped giving up. He studied. He failed. He tried again. His teachers noticed. His mom noticed. And Daniel noticed himself, changing. No longer the boy who doubted every step. No longer the boy who gave up, but a young man who understood something powerful. Persistence isn't just about trying again. It's about growing through the trying.